Hello, boys and girls. It's Mr. McMahon, and today I would like to read What to Do, What to Do. It's by Tony Teven and illustrated by Janet Pedersen. What to do, what to do. Here's our title page for What to Do, what to do. And our dedication page. Old Sophie lived all alone. Her days were long and lonely. She talked to her cow. She talked to her cabbages. She talked to her pots, her pans, her flowers, her furniture. But, of course, she got no answer. Every day, Sophie put on her bright orange hat and her shawl with a floppy fringe and went to the well for water. One morning, she saw birds nearby. Nice birdies, sweet birdies, called Sophie. And they seemed to call back, nice lady, sweet lady. Sophie was delighted. All aflutter, she ran to the cottage. I'll feed the dears, she said. Sophie baked bread as sweet as cake and as golden as the setting sun. She scattered crumbs all around and waited. The birds came flocking. Nice lady, sweet lady, they twittered and tweeted. They perched on Sophie's shoulder and ate from her hand. Sophie loved it. Sophie baked more bread. The birds called their friends and they came flocking. They sat on Sophie's hat and squeezed onto her shoulders. They picked and pecked and gobbled up every crumb. Soon birds from all over knew the old woman who wore the bright orange hat and the shawl with the floppy fringe. But there was no more. Nice lady, sweet lady. They filled the trees and lined the fence, screeching. They sat on the porch and paced the roof, squawking. They crowded poor Sophie and snatched and grabbed and quirled over every morsel. Sophie scolded them gently. Now, now, no biting, no scratching, no shoving. The birds paid no attention. They filled the air with flapping wings and caws and hoots. It was noisy, and there was never enough bread. Sophie tried to keep the peace. She baked more and more, filling the air with a wonderful aroma. It floated over the countryside all the way to the village. The people sniffed the air and smiled. Who can be baking such sweet-smelling bread? They asked one another. Back at the cottage, Sophie had no smile. What she had was flour on her shoes, flour on her floor, and flour on her elbows. She was weary of kneading and baking, but the greedy birds demanded more. Screech, squawk, caw, hoot. What to do, what to do? Please, birdies, she pleaded. No pestering. Please, birdies, she begged. No shouting. The birds paid no attention. They followed Sophie everywhere. They followed her when she went to milk their cow and tend her garden. They followed her when she went to the village for more flour. What to do, what to do? Sophie worried every step of the way. When people saw Sophie with her large sack of flour, one of them asked, Do you bake the bread that fills the air with such sweet smells? Yes, replied Sophie, I bake bread for the birds. Would you bake bread for us too? Asked a child. Sophie looked up. The birds circled impatiently overhead. Sorry, said Sophie, I can hardly keep up with the birds. She hurried on her way. And the birds followed. What to do, what to do. Shortly, Sophie saw a wagon coming down the road with a sign that read, Too many problems? Don't know what to do? Ask Velma, seer, sage, and confidential advisor. Leaning from the wagon was Velma herself. Tell your fortune, good mother, she crooned. Solve your problems? Step right in. I think I will, said Sophie. Velma got right down to business. What ails you, dearie? Warts, corns, a nasty bee sting? No, said Sophie. A lazy husband and naughty child. No, said Sophie. Well, what then? Demanded Velma. I haven't got all day. Poor Sophie's words came out in a tumble. Birds and breads, peck and shoo, squeak and squawk, what to do? Velma made no sense of it, but it didn't matter. A terrible problem, she wailed. Lucky for you, I'm a bird expert. To herself, she thought, I know a cuckoo when I see one. I will consult the crystal, she said importantly, peering into the glass ball. Ah, the crystal says I need all your gold. But I have no gold, said Sophie. Then it says I need all your silver, said Velma. But I have no silver, said Sophie. Velma was in a hurry. She banged on the table. Well, what do you have? She snapped. Sophie looked at Velma. She did not see a seer. She did not see a sage. She did not see a confidential advisor. What she saw was a very greedy lady, like those birds, thought Sophie. Right then, Sophie knew what to do. I have my beautiful orange hat and my shawl with the fine floppy fringe, said Sophie. It will have to do, Velma snarled, just for show. She said a quick hocus pocus and hasty alakazam, just for show. Sophie listened. Then Velma hustled Sophie out the door and snatched her hat and shawl. She climbed on her wagon, gave her mule a whack, and rode out of sight with her hat and fringe flapping. And the birds followed. As soon as Sophie heard the last caw and hoot, she picked up her sack of flour and hurried home. She went right to baking. She made pies and cookies and tarts and sweet rolls, and of course her wonderful golden bread. Sophie hung a sign in the village. All welcome for baked goods, Mondays and Fridays only. Other days, stop by and visit, but bring your own bread. How do you do's were asked and told. Tea was served and bread was sold. Friends were made as good as gold. And Sophie was never lonely again. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a good day.